Hi all, my name is Ryan and welcome to my channel What the Pop, where we discuss pop culture in general and Buffy a lot. The usual spoiler alert. I may talk about things in these analyses that relate to future plot points, so if you haven't seen all of Buffy at least once and don't like spoilers, I suggest you like the channel, then come back once you have seen it all. Today, we continue our look at Season 2 with my review and analysis of Episode 20, Go Fish. This will be relatively short because this episode sucks. A plot summary. The Sunnydale High swim team are winners, so it's beach party time. Star swimmer Cameron approaches Buffy and waxes lyrical about the ocean. She is unimpressed. Jonathan is getting dunked by Dodd. Buffy saves him. He is ungrateful. Dodd and Gage walk off muttering about Buffy. Something stinks, then Dodd is gone. Dodd's skin is a steaming pile. Mysterious creature walks into the sewer. Willow is still teaching the computer class. Gage is playing solitaire instead. Snyder tells Willow they can't get a replacement teacher. Given how many of the faculty have died, it's not surprising that no one wants to teach there. He heavily indicates that she needs to change Gage's F to a D. Buffy arrives with Cameron. He tries to grope her. She smashes his face into the steering wheel. But Snyder sees. Everyone blames Buffy. Buffy rants to the Scoobies, but they don't care. They're investigating a death. Xander hears Cameron scream, investigates and finds Cameron's skin and a gill monster. With Dodd and Cameron now attacked, Buffy tails Gage, the third best swimmer on the team. Willow interrogates Jonathan. He wanted revenge, so he peed in the pool. Xander hears the swim team needs members and tries out. Buffy is following Gage around. She really sucks at undercover. Angelus attacks him, but his blood is tainted. Buffy walks him home. Xander is on the swim team and looks pretty damn fine in a Speedo. Buffy hears Gage yell, sees him turns into a gill monster. Xander finds out the whole team is taking steroids via steam in the sauna. The coach sacrifices the nurse to the gill monster when she tries to end the experiments. Buffy confronts him, he pulls a gun on her, tells her to get in the hole with the monsters. Says his boys have eaten, but they have other needs. Ew. Cordelia thinks Xander has turned into a gill monster and says she still cares. But it's not him. Xander confronts the coach, knocks him out and saves Buffy. What a hunk. The coach attacks him and Buffy. Buffy trips him. He ends up in the hole. The boys really love their coach. Get it? Because they had needs and had already been fed. Gang rape jokes are hilarious. But also, karma. The swim team is given plasma transfusions to treat their monstrousness. The gill monsters escaped and returned to the ocean's call. In the last few episodes, I got to talk about one of the best episodes of television ever written in Passion, and one of my favourite episodes of Buffy in I Only Have Eyes for You. And now we have this steaming pile of garbage. Okay, it's not entirely garbage. Like all episodes of Buffy, it's still watchable. It's just not up to the standard set by the previous episodes. This episode was written by David Fury and Alan Hampton, who I only found out is David Fury's wife while researching for this episode. Now, David Fury was the writer of a lot of Buffy and Angel episodes and is capable of so much better than this. This episode has a silly Monster of the Week plot, though with a twist, and wildly uneven dialogue, which I'll talk about shortly. There are episodes I don't like more than this one, either because I hate the plot points or the way the metaphor is handled, but at least they have the metaphor. This episode is so ham-fisted in trying to make its point, and is so overt in making sure you get the steroids are bad, okay message, that it just loses any narrative value. It's the very definition of a filler episode. Being placed between I Only Have Eyes for You and Becoming Part 1 does not help it in terms of the perception of its quality, because it's a bad episode sandwiched between very good episodes. But mostly, it contributes almost nothing to the overarching story of the season and provides no real learning for Buffy herself. As such, it's skippable on any watch through because it plays no part in forwarding the narrative of the season or the development of the characters. In fact, I think it undoes the value of some characters. I've mentioned before that Nicholas Brendon is way too hot in this show to be seen as a dorky loser. And in this episode, when you see him come out in his Speedo and they use the camera pans to completely objectify him, in that scene he's a bona fide hottie. Absolutely nothing about him says social outcast. It makes the suspension of disbelief that he is a social outcast somewhat harder to do. Now, I have conjured up meaning out of this narrative mess, but it's pure interpretation because there's nothing here of real value that's obvious at least. If the writers had a metaphor they were reaching for, or lesson or learning for Buffy, it's completely lost on me. I can't find it here. There are some things I like about this episode that are saving graces. My favourite thing is Wentworth Miller as Gage because it's Wentworth frickin' Miller, and I don't think that requires any further explanation. But I think his interactions with Sarah Michelle were great, and I think it's a shame that he fished out. Because I thought he would have been a great boyfriend for Buffy, much more so than Scott Hope at the start of season 3. That whole segment from when she starts following him to when he calls her out on it, to Angelus attacking him and him asking Buffy to walk him home is my favourite part of this episode. He has one line after we first see him that it's ridiculous, but the way he delivers it is so good.
Ah, dude! What is that foulness?
And I have to laugh watching this episode in retrospect, given that Wentworth Miller has come out as gay. Because when Gage calls her out for following him around, you get this line from Buffy.
Okay. Obviously my sex appeal is on the fritz today, so I'll just give it to you straight.
The whole losing her sex appeal and giving it to him straight is much funnier when you think Gage is gay. And given the way he's dressed in this episode, it wouldn't be a surprise. The man looks fine. As I mentioned before, one of the most disappointing parts of this episode is how uneven the dialogue is. For a start, there are way too many casual references to sexual assault and rape. So you have absolute dross like this.
Great. This is just what my reputation needs. That I did it with the entire swim team.
Then you get good, smart, comedic flow like this.
We're looking for a beastie
That eats humans whole, except for the skin.
This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the skin's the best part.
Any demons with high cholesterol? You're gonna think about that later, mister, and you're gonna laugh.
Like most episodes of Buffy, even the bad ones, it has some great character moments and some great lines. They're what make even the bad episodes of Buffy still watchable. And it's only those lines and character interactions that save it from being really bad TV. This episode, however, is roundly considered one of the worst episodes of Buffy. IMDb ratings have it as the 5th worst episode of Buffy with a rating of 6.7, the worst episode being Be a Bad, which has a rating of 5.9. One of the minor things I have issue with in the story is Willow teaching the computer class and have her doing it for the rest of the term. Sure, they give a reason for it, but there's just no way it would happen in any reality. I have a harder time suspending belief on that than I do on swimmers turning into fish monsters. Now we know why they have her doing it. They need her to be teaching this class so the disc with the spell to restore Angel's soul can be found. But they could have gone about this plot point in a number of other ways that would have been less contrived. The overt theme here is obviously that taking steroids is bad, that using drugs to enhance performance has consequences. But I think that theme has no real relation to Buffy or her journey, so is wasted in a show like this. There is no metaphor in that message, or if there is one, the metaphor is completely lost on me. This episode deals with something a little more nuanced, even if it doesn't do it terribly well, or even on purpose. The theme of phases was to control the beast within, to ensure that in a monster, those primal urges that we all have don't escape. In phases, it was linked to sexual passion by way of the werewolves being drawn to sexual energy. While werewolves have a similar thing happen to them to the gill monsters here, they are only the monster for a fraction of the time, 3 nights a month, and remain human otherwise. In Go Fish, the boys are being doped with steroids and fish genes by their coach, which causes some of them to become these monsters. Here, the monster is not something that is a part of them, it is something created. It is something that happens to them, and something they then become. Once they are this monster, it appears there is no going back. They have shed their skin and will be this monster forever. I've talked previously about cycles of abuse in discussing Xander's actions, and that is a real life example of a created monster. Abusers sometimes became that way because they were abused themselves. They are a monster created by the circumstances and events that happen to them. Obviously this isn't true of all abusers though. Sometimes a monster is just born a monster. Angel's situation is somewhat similar. Angel lost his soul due to a clause in the curse that he didn't know about. That meant when he felt true happiness, he lost his soul again. Like the swim team, the monster was brought out of him against his will. It is something that happened to him. Tragically for Angel, it was a happy event that brought out his monster. Angel, however, willingly chose to become a vampire. Or did he? He didn't know what he was asking for when he asked Darla to show me your world. I doubt he knew that it meant giving up his soul, the essence of who he is. Remember, Giles said in The Harvest something like, you're not looking at your friend, you're looking at the thing that killed him. Even Angelus in Innocence said to Buffy, your boyfriend is gone. Similarly, the swim team here know they are getting steroids via the sauna, but I doubt they know they were getting fish DNA, and they certainly weren't expecting to be turned into the creature from the Black Lagoon. And if we look back over this season, created monsters are a common theme. Some Assembly Required, Inca Mummy Girl, Phases, and Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered all feature people being turned into monsters by way of something that was done to them. Like Nightmares from last season and Phases this season, while there is a monster here, it is the coach, a human, that is the real monster. The gill monsters, like werewolves, are basically animals, slaves to their baser instincts, to hunt, to feed, to mate. When they escape into the wild, they simply go where fish monsters belong, the ocean. So what does this all mean for Buffy and her journey? Well, this episode is a foreshadowing and warning, not of what will happen to Angel as it may seem, but of what will happen with Buffy. This episode repeatedly speaks about being a team player and points out that Buffy isn't a team player and isn't part of that team. Of course, Buffy's team is the Scoobies. That is the team she is loyal to and the team she wants to be a part of. It is her chosen family. When the boys on the swim team became monsters, they were no longer part of that team. Their coach tried to attend to their needs but failed, and the boys were called back to the ocean. In the season finale, Buffy will essentially be separated from her team through circumstance. In that moment, when she has no alternative, she will become the monster within. But I'll talk more about that in Becoming Part 2. As we learn that the Slayer was something inflicted upon these girls, it is something she has in common with the Gill monsters. It was something done to her. To Buffy, embracing the Slayer will mean embracing the whole she alone mantra. With what she has done, Buffy will see herself as a monster, and like the boys turning into monsters, Buffy will believe she needs to leave to separate herself from her team. There is no place for a monster here. But it is Cordelia, Buffy's what-if version, that provides the lesson for Buffy.
And I want you to know that I still care about you, no matter what you look like.
Cordelia, when she thinks Xander, Buffy's heart, has become a monster, shows she still loves him, that she still accepts him. The lesson here is for Buffy to do the same for herself, because we see what happens in Becoming Part 2 when she doesn't. And I think it's telling that when Buffy and Giles went hunting in the sewers for a monster, they didn't actually find one. My favourite quote for this episode has already been used, so I'll choose this one.
Boy, Miss Summers, you're beautiful.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. It helps the channel a lot. You can also support the channel through Patreon. If you disagreed with anything I said or have anything to add, please put it in the comments below and I'll see you next video.